What's up, everyone? Yeah, I'm a little late to get on. It's been a busy week. And if you notice the brightness, if you're watching this, well, the sun's actually still up while I'm doing this. So at least I'm getting it done, earlier in the day. But, we're talking the Dutch Grand Prix, and there's some things, that have to get talked about, coming out of it and Zandvoort and all that. One being the Ferraris, just a bad weekend for them, even though shout out to Leclerc for, popping a squat on that hill and just sitting there and enjoying. Well, not really enjoying, but watching the race from the hill right there, for however long he stayed on there after his exit from the race. But they've been so up and down, this year, and that's what I said going into, the season since last year when Lewis made the announcement. Like, I don't think it's going to be, if he's going out there trying to still win and everything, then I just don't think he made the right move. And granted, we'll see what the car looks like next year, new regulations, all that. I feel like it's suddenly spinning around, but he was going into a situation that I thought was very, underwhelming for chances, and everyone's like, oh, he gets more out of it, he gets to be an ambassador, which Mercedes wouldn't give him. Well, that's because the second they didn't have the fastest car, he's been trying to quit on him the whole godforsaken time. I think at one point last year, we got this is the last one when blah, 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 before the season was even over. Once he didn't have the best car, he just gave up. Really, the eye of the tiger really seemed gone. Granted, he got screwed in Abu Dhabi. I'm never going to deny that, but he just hasn't seemed the same since he didn't have the best car. I think he's a hell of a driver, but without the best car, he isn't excelling like we see. Actually, we see obviously it was just him keeping Red Bull good all this time. Because look at all of his teammates. And again, I'm not talking shit about Checo, but none of them have been near him. Everyone else gets in the second car and is just terrible. And look what he does in it again. Look what he just did in qualifying, pulled off the lap in Italy, beating out the two McLarens. But that's something to watch. Shout out Isaac Hadjar from the way the season started, his rookie season started, not even being able to run the race. That was a hell of a turnaround. Great to see him get his first, podium. And if Lando didn't have his problem, would he have been fourth? Yes, but still fourth in your rookie year. In the Racing Bulls car, which I still think is the easier car to drive. Just look at Yuki before and there. Look at Liam. There's stuff like that. But shout out to Liam Lawson for getting that. I think he's talented. I think, he's got, the right brain for it. So, hopefully, again, now the big talk, does he go to the second Red Bull car next year? I hope not. I think they need to do a lot to make that drivable for the whole world. At least for their second driver. I don't know what they have to do. Maybe they'll fix some things and Yuki will still be there. Honda's going to be gone, so I don't see it. But, that's another thing, to look out for. You never know what can happen. So hopefully, Yuki turns it around, but it's been horrifically underwhelming for him saying, he's expecting podiums and all that right away. And he's way down on the points. And he was doing way better than that, last year and then at the beginning of the year, driving in the RB. So there's obviously it's the car. It's always the car. It has to be the car at this point. So that happened. Again, McLarens, I figured they were going to be good. It sucks to see Lando lose points. Because the mechanical thing, to Oscar, even though Oscar was going to win the race, so he's going to get, a little bit bigger, point lead coming out of it no matter what. Sucks to see Lando, have a mechanical failure, but these things happen. And again, it could happen to Oscar, and then it could be closed right up. Personally, I think Oscar's going to get it. I just think his brain, and his maturity level and all that is superior to Lando's. And I think he's going to get it. He's just got, just that Iceman thing going on most of the time. So that's, I think it's going to be him. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I think it's going to be Oscar. Unless something catastrophically happens. I just think Oscar's a better driver for it. Overall, altogether. He's better. Mentally, I think he's stronger. There when it comes to a lot of things emotionally and all that. And, it's not a detriment to Lando, but I've been on here before. On Racing with Jesse Rosinski before. Talking about how, Daniel Ricciardo wasn't the problem, this person wasn't the problem, that person wasn't the problem. Granted, I wasn't saying Lando was the problem, but it wasn't the end-all be-all because the car wasn't there. Now, the car's there, and I just think Oscar's going to get it. But that's not even the most important thing that came out of the weekend for me. Never mind Oscar extending his point lead, Ferrari having a terrible weekend, Yeah, as a Kadjar getting that first podium. No, the big thing coming out of it, hopefully we can all have a good chuckle, or at least a conversation, is what the hell? Like, that was the ultimate, and I mean fucking ultimate Lance Stroll weekend. Like, how the hell do you go from that good to wrecked to pretty good to wrecked, finishing 7th ahead of your teammate Fernando Alonso? Like, that is the most Lance Stroll weekend of all time. Have a good practice, wreck the car. Have a good practice, wreck the car in qualifying. Finish ahead of Alonso. You both got points, 7th and 8th, which is fantastic. They needed it. I think, again, everyone was expecting too much out of, Adrian Newey. Nothing against him, but he was building from what they had to where he thought it needed to go. Obviously, we've seen all the success he's had in his career. It's going to take a little bit, to go from where they were to where he wants it to be, but for the love of God. Like, that was the most Lance Stroll weekend ever. I'm sure if I went back, we could see more of them, but, like, holy shit. I'm like, look at that. He looked really good. 10 seconds later, crunch. You're like, there's the Lance Stroll we know. And he came back out. He didn't look that bad in what they put together. And qualifying. Crunch. There's just 2 wrecks, no matter what. 2 good sessions, 2 wrecks, and then finishing ahead of Fernando Alonso. Fernando did, we heard him on the radio, want to do, something different to get out of the DRS train and all that, so that could have, done things differently. In the DRS train, you just kind of get stuck there, but for the love of God, 2 wrecks and a 7th place finish ahead of Alonso. That's the weekend that, if we could take away the 2 wrecks, think of how amazing a weekend that would be. For the love of God. You gotta take it. Take 2 wrecks and a 7th place finish. Double points for Aston Martin. And again, I think they're going to keep, getting better. Adrian Newey wasn't that good in so many places for nothing. But, he's going off of what they had and trying to change things. And that's not going to happen, overnight or in one season, especially with the new regulations and all that for next year. So, I saw, the chance of improvement for, this year, obviously. But obviously next year, in the foreseeable future, the new regulations is the more important thing. So, shout out to him, though, for getting them competitive, because there's a lot of times, last year where they just absolutely weren't. And, that's really badass to see. But that's really the big Grand Prix. Now, I'm looking forward to, the Italian Grand Prix to see what happens. Hopefully, it's a clean race and there's not as much chaos. But, Max is on the pole. McLaren's right there behind him. I believe Leclerc was right there behind him. Lewis was right behind Leclerc in 5th, but he has the 5 grid penalty, 5 places, so he's going back to 10th. There's a lot of stuff. I really just want to see the Williams both do good, because they always have a place in my heart. I want to see Yuki get his shit together. Please God, because that's just been underwhelming as can be. I don't. I came out and said I hope he shows him what he's talking all that trash that he could do it. Hopefully he does it. And well, he talked a lot of shit. And you look at how many points he scored in his results, and they're kind of in the same ball field. So, make sure you share this. Follow on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, on Facebook. Check out 2146media.com, because that thing's fucking awesome. Share it, comment.